When I mean casual, I mean casual. So it's 3:30 a.m. and I have a flight. I have to leave for a flight at 5 a.m. and I can't sleep. And I know that people that are up in the middle of the night, they're kind of weird like me. So I feel like this casual live is going to be pretty good. So we'll see if anyone comes in. But it's very casual. I do not have any makeup on and I have a head wrap on. So we'll see if anyone comes in. But I wanted to talk a little bit about if I could have any superpower. And I also want to talk about what's going on with Trump. So, which is disgusting what they're doing to Trump. And it's been a while since I've done a live here on YouTube, especially one in the middle of the night. And if you're here, thank you for being here. Say hello. And hey guys, my name is Kali Fontani. If you're new to my account, I'm a former public school teacher of 15 years, and I have exposed what is going on in our public schools. But anyways, let's talk about what superpower I could have if I could have it. I don't think anyone is even here because it's literally 3:30 a.m. Well, I've got two people. I don't know who you are. It's kind of creepy that you haven't said anything. Hi. Hello. So why are you up in the middle of the night? Do you have to get up early for work or something? Or you're just up in the middle of the night like me because you're a weirdo and you like to be up in the middle of the night like me. And I am a middle of the night person. And in fact, I should be doing more lives in the middle of the night because that is when I think clearest. That's when I have all of these ideas running. But the problem is my husband sleeps like a baby when I'm in bed with him, but he doesn't sleep very good when I'm not in bed with him. So I feel obligated to have to stay in bed even though I'm awake so that he could have his like baby night's sleep. So I'm just sitting there with my mind going crazy while I have to stay in bed so that he can have a good night's sleep. But then when I get up, he's like, "What's going on? Why aren't you in bed? I'm worried." And it's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to get work done." Okay. And the middle of the night is when I'm always the clearest. And yes, I've always been an insomniac. In fact, my mom, she was in a band as a kid. So my mom was a reggae musician. She was a white lady and a reggae musician in the 80s. She used to sing in a reggae band in the 80s. And so she would be out late at night until like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. because she's in a band. And this was when there wasn't any cell phones. And I was the oldest in my family. And I used to worry about her at night as a little girl. And so I would be up in the middle of the night just worried about my mom because she's just in this band and she's gone all night, right? And so this would happen every weekend for the whole time she was in the band. I think she was in it for about 2 to 3 years. It was a really good reggae band too, by the way. And she's very talented at reggae music. But unfortunately, there wasn't a huge market for white reggae bands in the 80s because the whole band was white. And this was in Santa Cruz, California. And they were great. They were such good musicians. And that's something that I have so much respect for is musicians. So back to what and all my family are musicians. All of my family is musicians. My dad is a reggae drummer. So he used to do a lot of reggae shows. He was in this band called the Rastafarians in the 80s. They were excellent. My brother is a DJ in LA. He does a lot of DJ. What does he do? Is it called BDM? Is that a type of music, guys? Please let me know if that's I don't know. It's one of those electronic musics, but they're really like specific. And then my other brother was in a rock band and he plays the bass. My mom sings and writes music and she used to do reggae music. And then my stepdad, he is a reggae guitar player and he has done a lot of touring with Wailing Souls. If you're a reggae fan, you would know who they are. And he still tours to this day. And he's in his early 70s, my stepdad, who was more in my life than my real dad. But my real dad is my Jamaican dad. He was a reggae drummer. So I come from a whole family of musicians. And we had late nights. So I'm a night person, but a middle of the night person. I get really tired around 8, and then in the middle of the night around 3 a.m., I can get up and just get a bunch of work done, and then I'm tired again at like 5. So, yeah. So anyways, hello, welcome to the live. I want to talk to you guys because I woke up and I was like, what would be, and let me know if you have any questions or anything too about like the reggae music that my family is part of or any of that. So what would be if you could have any superpower, if you could be granted one superpower, what would it be? And really think about that, because so I think some people will just say what, right off the top of their head, what their superpower, what they would want. Maybe they'd be like, I want to be able to read minds. Like, that sounds like hell. Like, please do not give me that superpower. I do not want to be able to read minds. I think I would just stay inside all day. I don't want to know what sick people are thinking. I don't know what people want to know what people are thinking about me. What about like your friends that are secretly haters and you just have to hear them hating on you? Because we have those. So yeah, so I don't want that. I would never want the ability to read minds or pass through walls. That's kind of a stupid superpower. I wouldn't want to be invisible. That I don't know about that one. I don't really want to see things that people, like weird, creepy things that people are doing because I'm invisible, or be in the same room with someone. I feel like that's kind of like I'm a ghost, and I don't want that's creepy. Flying, I don't think that really adds a lot to my life. It'd be kind of cool to be able to fly places, but I'm not thinking that's something that would be super valuable to my life and like what I could do. Uh, Healing, to be able to heal people, that would be really amazing to be able to heal people. But I also think you would get mobbed all the time, and your whole life would be healing people. And if you said no, you would seem like a jerk, right? So you'd be like spending every single waking hour healing people. So that one doesn't seem, I mean, even though it would be great if you had that ability, it just seems awful. Like you'd be living a nightmare. Like, I'm not Jesus. And then, so think about what superpower you would want if you could have any superpower. And oh, hey, we have super intelligent. I wouldn't want that one. I don't know why. It's just sometimes super intelligent people are psychos. Maybe super wise. There's a difference between wisdom and intelligence. I'd rather be super wise than super intelligent. I feel like super intelligent people are a little bit, yeah, psycho. There's a lot of like really, really, really smart serial killers. So I would say super wise. But really, as I was thinking about it, I was like, if I could have any superpower that was my own superpower that I would use, yes, I'm a middle of the night person. This person's like, use up late. Yes, I'm a little middle of the night person, by the way. So hello. And I'm in my head wrap because that's what it's a super casual life, and I don't want to get myself together, and I have a flight coming up, and that's that. So uh my superpower that I would want is the ability to speak any language. First of all, that's something that I cannot do. I have tried taking Spanish classes in high school and in college, and I also tried learning on my own with apps, and we even bought like back in before app days, I bought like a CD program on how to use a language, on how to learn Spanish. It was like one of the best. I think it was, I forget what it was called. It wasn't Rosetta Stone, but it was another one that was supposed to be better than Rosetta Stone. And I just cannot learn another language. And I also spent 6 months in Italy, and I studied abroad, and we were studying Italian, and they had to put me in like the beginner class. Like they had us all test on, I think they gave us like a 2-week Italian lesson, all of the students, and then they had us test, and I tested in the beginner class. And so the rest of the time I was in Italy, I was in this beginner class because I can't learn languages. And I always admire those that are really good at learning other languages. I think it's the way my brain works. It just it would have a really hard time translating, because I already have a hard time kind of getting out what's in my brain out into words, because my brain works faster than the way I talk. And if I don't talk really fast, and I have a really hard time getting my thoughts out because I have to slow down. So basically like that, but people don't like people that talk that fast, right? So I have to slow it down, and that makes it hard for me. And my brain doesn't want to translate that fast as well. So I do not learn languages very well. And I also taught the English learners as a teacher. So in California, when I was a teacher for 15 years, the main position that I did was teach English learners. And that was in middle school and high school. And these are mainly kids that are from Mexico, because that's who we have in Mexico. And they would come into, I would get them on their third year of learning English. And it was actually good that they had a teacher that didn't know Spanish, because oftentimes the teachers that knew both languages would let them just constantly cheat and go back to speaking Spanish. And so I was really successful at teaching the kids that were learning languages, but I also understood how hard it was for some of them, because it's really hard for me. And I think organically is the best. So I actually had my students, we would partner with the elementary school, and I had them go and read and work with kindergartners, because they were at about the same level as a kindergartner or a first grader. And that was awesome. So, and they became teachers to these younger kids. And in fact, when I started that program, COVID came, and it was so frustrating because they loved it. My students loved it. We got to leave the school twice a week, and it was so nice to be able to just leave the school and go walk. We would walk to the elementary school that was about 10 minutes away and work with these little kids, and the little kids loved my students, and it was so amazing. And then we got shut down, and it was frustrating. So I would want to have the ability to speak the language of anyone that I meet, because first of all, I love foreign languages. I wish that I could speak them. I would wanna be able to speak them in the way that they speak them. So I think about, like, Asians, when I hear Asians, like, especially Chinese people, when they talk, and when they're talking, like, excited, they're just like, I can't even impersonate their language. They're just like, I can't talk about like, I can't, like, and I wanna speak like that. Or like Mexicans when they cuss. I'm s We have okay cuss words in the English language, but the Spanish language has, like, the best cuss words. And I always had Mexican students, so I know the cuss words, and they had those cuss words. Spanish cuss words are good. Um, or like, be able to speak in like, like Japanese, very just refined, because you know how they speak in a very refined way. I am Japanese, right? And just to be able to speak in that way, and also to be able to reach people in their languages. Like, I wish that I could speak Spanish so that I could reach Spanish speaking parents, because most Spanish speaking parents are conservative in their values, and they would not want what's happening to our children in our public schools to happen to their kids, if they had it presented to them in a way that they can understand. And I feel like we aren't meeting um, the Hispanic community on what's going on in our nation's schools, because we don't have enough people who are speaking to them in their language, especially those that immigrated to this country, whether illegally, legally. They have their kids in our schools, right? And they should know what's going on and what's happening to their children. And it's causing such a separation between their kids, because I taught their kids. And um, the parents are just like, what is going, they don't, their children are like these weird creatures that they don't even understand, especially the ones that go super woke. And if they were educated on what's going on in our public schools, I think that they would be over it. So anyways, that is the superpower that I wish that I could have, is to be the ability to speak any language with the person that I meet. What do you guys think? What would be your superpower if you could have it? Have any superpower that you want. And then I also wanted to go into what's happening to Trump right now. And first of all, I was right about DeSantis. So was this a year ago now? There was all of these influencers, all the high up conservative talking heads were, I don't remember what this was. This was like the beginning of the year. They were speaking against Trump and promoting DeSantis. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Trump was calling out DeSantis, and Trump was, and everyone was like, why is he doing that? DeSantis isn't even running. He isn't even running. And like, and just saying and a lot of people were turning on Trump. And I came on here on a live, I think it was with my husband and sometimes by myself, and I was warning people. I was like, first of all, if you're listening to someone who's high up right now, all of the high up conservative talking heads, right? If you're listening to them and they're telling you that Trump isn't even running, or DeSantis isn't even running, they're lying to you, because they know he's running. And they're just trying to create a narrative that they're being told to say. And that's that Trump is jealous of DeSantis and he's unhinged or whatever. And basically saying a lot of things that CNN has said about Trump for the last 5 years. or 6 years, or however long it's been now. 7 years. I can't believe how fast time is going by. It's going by way too quickly. Anyways, so I was right about DeSantis, and the reason why I was right, and first of all, I was very much into him when I moved to Florida. I thought he was doing some great things, but I never took the time to really research him. And you can watch my videos on that if you are still a big DeSantis fan. I think he's a good governor. I think he's now an okay governor now that he started running, because he has stopped doing anything in Florida for the last year. He hasn't really done anything here. He's all focused on his campaign, and he stopped really doing things for Florida. Anyways, and so I think he's an okay governor, but I would not want him as my president. I don't think that he's good in foreign policy, and that's really important right now. And I also think that he is funded by those that are don't have the American people as their best interest, right? They are not out for the American people. And he's pretty much been exposed now, and the enthusiasm has dropped like crazy for him. People are not like, oh, he's so much better than Trump. No one's really saying that anymore. And if you've noticed, all of the talking heads that were speaking badly about DeSantis a year ago and all saying that they've all turned back to Trump because you guys were calling them out. You guys were like, what are you guys talking about? Like, why are you all of a sudden so anti-Trump? It was like this weird time where they all switched to being anti-Trump and saying this stuff. Not everyone, but the ones that were paid to do that, which that happens, were saying all of this stuff against Trump. And now they've all switched back and they're like, I'm a Trump person, right? I've seen them. I'm not going to say names, but they're like, I'm really into Trump. It's like, okay, just a year ago, you were saying he didn't win and he is an egomaniac. So whatever. Okay. So I just wanted to remind you guys that I had some good instincts about DeSantis simply because I did some research on him, and I was very much deceived by Obama. So I don't want to be deceived again. And I like to research people before I wholeheartedly back them up, especially in favor of Trump, because Trump has proven to me that he is someone that I can trust. Maybe not forever, but for now, he is someone that I can trust. One of the main reasons why I know that is because so many of these evil people hate him and want to stop him. His enemies show you what type of man he is. Look at his enemies and look at how much they are working to stop him. I mean, they are stopping at nothing to take out Trump. And I think the next step, if he is able to be successful on getting onto the ballot, which they're working on taking him off in Colorado, they're taking him off the ballot, but he's going to appeal, and there's time for him to appeal. So he may get back on. Now they're also working in California to get him off the ballot. And they are not wanting him. So all these crazy Biden voters for the last 3 years have been screaming about how Trump is a threat to our democracy. It's actually republic, but they're stupid like that. But Trump's a threat to our democracy. And literally now their side is working to not even have his name on the ballot, so people don't even have the choice. That is the real threat. That is the real threat, that we won't even have the choice. If you are in Colorado, and let me tell you this, if Colorado is successful in this, all of the other blue states are going to follow along. And Colorado is still considered a swing state, but all of the other blue states or blue controlled states right now, which notice that Arizona is controlled by a blue person, right? All of the other blue controlled states are going to follow along if Colorado is successful at getting him off the ballot. Right now they are. Trump is appealing, but right now they're successful at getting him off the ballot, not even giving us the choice. Do you guys realize how consequential this is? Not just in voting for Trump. Not even just let's take Trump out of this. Do you guys realize that not even giving us the choice of a candidate, a super popular candidate that was our former president that we had for 4 years, that many of us enjoyed and many of us were in support of, we're not even going to be able to have the choice to vote for him. All right. These are some dark times right now. And I feel like a lot of people aren't taking this as seriously as they should. I don't really know though it's almost so overwhelming. I don't really know what we can do. I don't. I don't know what we can do except yeah, exactly. They will cause a civil war. Hopefully if we're brave enough, because look at what they did to the January 6ers. They sent a message that if we rise up and we say this is wrong, we're going to get thrown in prison, and a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice their freedom for this country. They just aren't. I'm not. I don't want to. One of my worst nightmares is to be in prison, and that's something I need to pray about, because when the time comes, I really should step up and not care about that. But I've read books about prison. Do you guys remember this guy who was a I hope someone can remember his name, but he was on death row. He's in the 90s. He's a black guy. He changed his life. He was a huge gang member. He changed his life, and he started writing from prison what it was like to be in prison to reach young people. And I used to have my students read that book. It was such a good book. First of all, it was just easy read. Anyways, prison is a nightmare. It's an absolute what they did to those January 6ers, and they literally just walked through the Capitol. That's what they did. They were let in. And so when I'm honest with myself, I don't think I could risk. I mean, if I knew I was going to get thrown in prison for something, I probably would hesitate. And that makes me sad. I don't want to hesitate. And that's also why we need men, because men, they have to stop more testosterone, and they're more like, F it, this is messed up. I am going to stand up for my country, and I'm not. And women, we have, our motherly instincts to protect. And so, man, what they're doing to Trump right now, this is the number one news story. It should be the number one news story across the world, what they're doing to Trump. It's absolutely sick. And so what we need to do is just make sure that we are that we are showing up when they're sadly they stopped us from protesting. Have you noticed that since January 6th, no one is protesting anymore? No one is having rallies. We used to before January 6th and during the Trump campaign, we were getting together all the time. We were getting together, it didn't even have to be a Trump rally where Trump was there. We were always getting together. We were very united. Have you noticed how dysfunctional we are now? The right is dysfunctional. Not only are the politicians dysfunctional, which most of them always have been, but the people are dysfunctional right now. We do not know how to unite right now. We're just fighting all the time, and we're focusing on the wrong things, and we're living in fear. And we're just in a garbage heap right now. And I miss that time, because we were very united under Trump, and it was a enthusiastic movement. We were excited, and that gave us a lot of energy. Thank you for the super thanks, by the way, or the super chat. I'm going to go ahead and share it too. But it's just so depressing what's happening in our country right now. And I have been depressed about what's happening in our country right now. And part of the reason why I haven't made as much content this year, I haven't been doing that many lives, is I've gone through a major depression this year. And a lot of it has to do with what's going on in our country. I take it very personally, and I'm very worried about our young people. And I really am traumatized by what I'm seeing, in this country. I mean, you go on Instagram used to be like a happy place. And I used to love going on there and watching like dog videos and all this, but then I started following people on the right and these, commentators who are sharing a lot of what's going on in this country. And I'm legitimately traumatized with the images that I'm seeing of what's happening in our country right now, just of the people, how disturbed we're getting in our cities. I mean, the things I've seen this last couple of weeks are just so gross. And it's hard. It's hard to see this great country free falling so quickly. And I'm also very worried about our young people, because they're being raised in an environment where this is normal. They think this is normal. They think this clown show world that we're living in is normal, because they don't know anything else. We have to remind these kids, anyone under 25, anyone under 20, we have to remind them of how cool this country was in like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. This country was cool. It was so fun to be young during that time. It was like, I mean, I was born 1982. Go ahead and share in the chat when you were born and what it was like for you as a young person, what it was like during that time. But that wasn't even peak cool. The 70s were even cooler than that. I feel like 70s were one of the coolest eras. Uh, 90s were incredible. 90s were, I don't know, they were like a golden era. They were like a reliving of the 50s, but in a more modern way, and way uglier clothes. But the 90s were amazing. And now these kids are in this world where it's so different than what we grew up in, and they think this is normal. I see it with the kids, especially on the left. The way that they treat me when I talk about this stuff, they're just they can't even understand the fact that I think that there's only two genders and that you can't, reject your God-given gender and just chop off your breasts and be called a man, right? And they just that doesn't even they're just like, "What? Wow, you're so close-minded. You're such a bigot." I'm like, "Guys, this was normal. This was normal 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We weren't having kids do this kind of stuff. Kids were, in general, happy. They weren't rejecting their gender. Oh, yeah, sure, we had some feminine-leaning men, some, like, fairy boys, like what we call them. We had some tomboys. We had some tomboy girls that only wanted to hang out with the guys and only liked boy stuff, but we weren't, like, mutilating their bodies at 10 years old with chemically castrating children, and they think this is normal. They actually are fighting for this. So, I don't know. I think that we need to keep talking with each other. We need to keep uniting. We need to keep fighting right now. We we also need to have mercy and grace on these people. And in fact, I wrote a whole post about how much I can't stand Vivek. I can't say his last name, Ramaswamy. I think I had the wrong call on that. I will admit that I was wrong. I mean, there's things about him that definitely concern me, and I'm like I said, I'm a skeptic because I got so deceived by Obama, but I've seen him say some things and do some things. I mean, mainly say some things that no one else will say, and I'm cool with, like, I think that's a good thing. I think we need that right now, and, do I want him as president over Trump? Absolutely not. Would I be cool with him being in his cabinet? Absolutely, yes. And I like what he's doing right now. I like that he's standing up for him like none of these other candidates are. Like DeSantis is such a snake. He's not standing up for Trump at all. Every candidate right now should be condemning what's happening to Trump because that can happen to them. But you know what? It's not going to happen to them because if they're on the same team, they'll get propped up by these evil people. And so we just need to be very careful about and of course, I'm still skeptical of that man, Vivek. I'm still skeptical, but I will say that I was harsher on him than I should have been, and I respect what he's doing right now. I respect what he's saying, and I respect that he's able to so clearly take down the left in their stupid talking points, and that's always a good thing. But anyways, I just want to do this casual live with you guys. I have a flight that I have to leave for in an hour. This is the first time I'm having Christmas with my family in 3 years. And when I first started posting, I was not very protective of my family, and I shared a lot of things that I should not have shared. And yes, a lot of my family is left-leaning, but I protect them now because they are more important than people just on the internet who want to judge me everything that I do, and I don't want to hurt them. So I don't really necessarily share. I mean, I'll share like, fun stuff about them, but I used to like share about how leftist they are. And I don't share that anymore. And so basically this is our first Christmas together in 3 years. And it's going to be interesting. So pray for me if you're a praying person, because you know how it is when you haven't seen your family in a long time. Also, thank you for tolerating me looking like an absolute scrub. Wow. That's maybe why I haven't looked into the camera, because I see myself and I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? This is what it is. Why do you have to be so polished to do stuff on camera? Like, can we just keep it real? Although I do notice that when I put myself together and actually put on makeup and put my hair down, my videos go a lot further. So there's that. Okay, so the superpower that I wanted, you missed that in the beginning, was to be able to speak any language. If I meet someone, if I travel to a country, I am fluent in their language. That's what I want as a superpower, because I think that would be really cool. And how come I'm not censored on YouTube like other conservatives? I have been very much censored, especially about a couple months ago. I was losing 1,000 followers a month, and normally I gain. But because I post satire videos where I'm mocking the left, I think they allow those videos to go through because they think they're real. So that's kind of a little hack, right? You know, because they think that those videos are real where I'm saying like all Trump supporters are racist. And so I'll put that as the title and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll let this go through." So I think that's part of the reason why I'm able to kind of get through, but it's still hard. We're getting censored all the time. I've had 9 TikTok accounts shut down. TikTok's stupid, but it's where the young people are. In fact, last year, I just went to this thing called AmFest in Arizona, and last year I had a lot of young people coming up to me because I was on TikTok a lot, but now I'm not because I've been shut down so many times, 9 times. 9 times I've had my account banned there. So, anyways, that's that. Yeah, post like a leftist. Oh, be very if you want to get your voice out there, first of all, do it. Please do it. Like, it's don't think you're gonna make any money at it though, but unless you have like a million followers or something. But we need every voice out there. And if you want to get your voice out there, you first of all make sure you're very careful about your titles. You'll notice that I never have a title with the word Biden in it, and because they will shadow ban every single video that talks about Biden. And often will do titles that disparage the right. So I'll be like, the right is racist, and then it's actually about how the left is racist. So just be like really careful about that. We have to do all these little tricks to kind of break through and get our voice out there. But anyways, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being with me on this scrubby live. I'll do these more. I'll do these more, especially if I get up in the middle of the night. It's just hard on my husband because he really likes sleeping when I'm in the bed with him, and he has a hard time sleeping when I'm not there. And so then he comes out and like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" But I'm like, "I'm up in the middle of the night. I can't just sit in bed with my mind spinning for hours and hours," which is what I normally do. So, anyways, love all my middle of the night friends. Have a great day. Have a great Christmas with your family. And yeah, God bless you guys. Bye.